Every year, the golf-obsessed nation of Korea gets to welcome the best players in the LPGA to the KEB Hana Championship. 2018 is no exception, and we have seen a brilliant week so far. As we continue our race to the CME Globe, getting closer to the end of the season. And what we've seen so far this week has been a spectacular contest around a brilliant golf course. And some of the biggest names in the game are up there to get their name on this prestigious trophy. It is a day that promises so much. They will be here in their tens of thousands for the final round of the LPGA KEB Hana Championship. Let's go. As we've seen, we couldn't really have picked a better leaderboard going into Sunday. A big welcome, everybody, from Peter Donegan to our final round coverage from Sky 72 Golf Club in Incheon in South Korea. Final round of the LPGA KEB Hana Championship. And the weather has come to the party and the crowds have flocked in. They don't appear to be in that part of the golf course, but I can tell you they are everywhere today to see who is going to collect the winner's cheque for $300,000. Sandy McKenzie and Karen Stupples with me in the box. Sandy, this tournament never disappoints, but this year, I think in prospect, we've got one of the great final rounds that we've seen here.
We certainly have, Pete. From the word go on Thursday, this has been nothing short of exciting the whole way through. Been a lot of fun, spectacular golf. Cool conditions on Thursday, but the sun is shining today, and we expect just an outstanding Sunday.
And by the look of it, we're going to have a new winner, Karen Stupples, and this contest has just been getting better as the week goes on. You've got the world number one, the world number two, you've got Koreans, you've got players from all over the world. This is just brilliant.
And this is just a really, really good slice of what the LPGA Tour brings to the table week in and week out. You've got great golf being played, you've got something for everybody if you're a fan watching from everywhere across the globe. And quite frankly, it's just exciting. And this golf course, it brings that out even more, the excitement factor. There are birdies, there are bogeys, and Sandy, this setup really does do well for them.
Yeah, it's a fantastic golf course that way. And the thing I love about this golf course is every hole is different, and every one of them is intriguing. So many things, twists and turns can happen. And
the way the weather has been, the greens are just getting a little firmer. They're quickening up a little bit. It's going to make for an intriguing competition throughout the afternoon. I hope you can stay with us around this wonderful layout, which has been so challenging. There's the weather. Couldn't be better. The best day that we've had so far. 16 degrees Celsius. Beautiful sunny day. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Just a gentle zephyr of a breeze. And the scoring came to the party yesterday because the breeze was down. So you're going to have to make a lot of birdies to get the job done today up amongst those players who are in contention. What a day in prospect we have with some of the very best players in the world, and we'll be keeping an eye on them every step of the way.
As we look through one of our first features group, Atahara Munoz finding form again after recovering from illness. Nasa was the first round leader, hasn't been able to continue that form. And Ji-Hoon Kim, she's a local girl. She's from Incheon, so expect some local knowledge and some fans from her.
What a group this is. Brooke Henderson, the Canadian two-time winner this year. She was outstanding yesterday, really made a move through the field. Jeong-Min Cho, three-time winner on the Korean Tour. And, of course, Lexi Thompson, very capable of tearing any golf course apart.
And if you want to talk about informed players, no one is more informed than Sungwon Bae. Won the tournament on the LPGA Tour last week. Sun-Hyun Park, world number one and fan favourite. And Sandra Gao starting to find some of the form that we saw her win in 2011 with.
Well, let's take a look at another Korean fan favourite. And didn't she play well yesterday? In-Ji Chun, playing alongside the very consistent, very strong Min-Ji Lee. And Lydia Ko, the former world number one, right in the mix.
And a tantalising, competitive final group here. Charlie Hull, she's been very comfortable in front of these big crowds this week, looks in complete control of her game. Danielle Kahn, also feeling very at home, feisty competitor, major champion. And Ariya Jutanugarn leads in the most statistical categories I've ever seen on the LPGA Tour.
Said birdies are going to be so important today, and it's important to get them on the card early, because if you don't, then you might find yourself a long way from the people who are doing that. Outside chance of a birdie for the world number one. She may not be world number one come the end of this day. Sunghyun Park. This is at the 4th. I can only think about the noise that the galleries are going to be making around her today.
Well, I think that unlike last year, the galleries were primarily situated around that final group when you had both fan favourites playing together, Inji Chan and Sunghyun Park. Now the two are separated. I expect to hear cheers all across the board all day long.
And the other thing that we'll get is the last group, which doesn't contain a Korean player, contains 3 very popular players. So there are certainly going to be some fans with that group as well, Sandy. They're going to have everybody covered.
Speaking of one of those, Charlie Hull, top of the leaderboard at the moment with Ariya Jutanugarn. She's played so impressively this week, Charlie. Just safe shot there. It's a very big green, away from the flag.
And it's a scary hole location. There's nothing around it. There's no room right, no room left. And even though they've moved the tee up, it's just one of those holes that par is still going to be good.
Danielle Kahn did such a brilliant job yesterday. She said she's been really enjoying it, focused on her caddy, Ollie, for a lot of the day yesterday, and she said he was so important to what she was able to do. And she's come up with a good one. Putt for a birdie for Danielle has started with 2 pars. So there has been a fair bit going on. Let's have a look at what has happened earlier today. We mentioned the need for early birdies. Here's Ariya at the 1st to get things going from the word go. Rolls one in from around about 15 feet, and perhaps that's the sign of things to come.
Onto the 2nd hole. And Inji birdied the 1st as well and follows it up with 1 on the 2nd. So one of the very much proud favourites is making an early move in this final round.
Also on the 2nd hole, Ariya Jutanugarn, and this whole location is in a little bowl on the left side of the green, making it more appealing. That was almost appealing for an eagle, but a tap in, and that's what we've seen Ariya do a lot of this week. Her ball striking has been really very good. She's had lots of opportunities.
So what could Charlie Hull do in response? She could do that, roll in a birdie at the 2nd and maintain her position up at the top of the leaderboard.
Taking a look at the par 3, Sunghyun Park. I feel she may, make a move today. She's just, the pressure's off not being in the last group. Plays a great shot in there. And was to convert that here to a birdie. So, nice comfortable start, picking up 1 in the early stages. We will expect some birdies out of her today.
So all of that means that the leaderboard has changed somewhat. And what it means is that we have joint leaders in Ariya Jutanugarn and Charlie Hull. Thailand and England at the top at lucky 13 under. Danielle Kahn is where she was at the start of the day at 12 under. Inji has picked up a couple to move to 12 under. Minjee Lee has made a birdie, a bogey start and is 10 under par. And Sunghyun Park finds herself 3 back from the lead, but still within distance, as are Lydia Ko and Sandra Gale. This is going to be something special. Don't go anywhere. Hope you can stay with us for our final round coverage from Korea.
Long range birdie putt here at the 3rd for Charlie Hull. Massive green, this green on the 3rd, 42 paces long. So these players just playing to the centre. This very narrow part of the green at the back. Now settle down. This is what happens on these greens. You get a slight bit too much pace on them. They tend to just keep rolling. You end up with a very awkward one coming back.
And she was asked a couple of days ago in a press conference what has held her back from winning more often. And she said it's really finishing off the putts. And she's going to test herself straight out the blocks with one right there for par.
They've moved the tee up here at 3 today, so much so the pin is actually 37 paces on, which means that they've got 97 to the front of the green in the official measurements. The green's sitting at an oblique angle, as it often does on Jack Nicklaus designed golf courses. Area from long range. Putter's working. Oh, I think the signs are ominous for the rest of the field early on.
Yes, she might have them all shaking in their boots, Pete. She has been quite spectacular with her irons, and she's been the one player who has got the ball closer to the pin and given herself so many really short opportunities for birdie, where other players have struggled to get it close. These greens are so difficult. If you can get that putter rolling today.
It's interesting watching Area. We're seeing a little shift in her intensity factor. She, as Danielle Kang, and it wouldn't put me past Danielle to make this. She loves this kind of battle that she's going to be facing with Area.
Danielle Kang just sliding her birdie putt by here at the 3rd. Area from long range nearly hold hers, so no real ground being made by our big 3 at this stage on a hole which measures just 134 yards. But everywhere you look, there are players who are in contention today, and here's one of them, Inji Chun, who's made a birdie at the 1st, birdie at the 2nd, gets herself up to 12 under, and she is only 1 back from the lead.
Nice shot again, leaves it below the flag. I think Inji's one that will enjoy not being in the final group, just sitting back a little bit. She's got a massive fan base. There's going to be so many people out here today, and a lot of them will be trying to see Inji Chun.
Testing length, 5 or 6 feet for par for Charlie. Karen, we mentioned yesterday how comfortable she looked in a very hot kitchen yesterday with the world #1 and the world #2 for company. She was really impressive.
Well, and she really enjoyed the atmosphere that was out there. She enjoyed playing in front of the large galleries, and I think it really raised her game. But she took her time over all the shots, and she did look focused.
Tap in par for Danielle Kang, remains at -12.
I think this is going to be a day today, Pete, where we're just going to see loads of people going for birdies, loads of red figures. But if you are dropping shots today, it'll be like dropping 2. A couple of those ones early who have dropped shots, Minji Lee, Lydia Ko, both dropped one.
Why don't we check out the 4th hole? It's just as short as par 4s go at 332 yards.
Yeah, well, the one thing you've got to be careful here is that little bunker right in the centre. So you'll find a lot of players will play up short of that bunker because it's still only a shot of 100 to the front. Pin is on 33 today, so it's a fair way back. Of course, you can see the trouble on the left. There are those short bunkers on the right, but there's enough room there, but you must avoid the little one in the centre. And not many people will be going for that landing zone because there's absolutely no need. And then once they move up, the pin is up in that top left corner of the green. So just play it safe off the tee. Now you see where you move into, this characteristic of most of the greens on this golf course. This one sitting front right, goes across it, nearly straight across into that back left. And so you've got to carry it all the way. Although it says it's 33 on, you need probably, you had about 23 because you need to clear that bunker as well. But it does sit back there in its own plateau. But safe off the tee is the go.
Overall this week, it's been the 5th easiest hole. Easiest hole, statistically anyway, has been the short par 4, 15th. Minji Lee, puppy start, one of everything so far. It's been a bit of a pizza round, one with the lot. She's had a birdie, a bogey, and a par.
And really to see her at 10 under par is a testament to her staying power.
Oh boy, that's gone off in her hand.
Yeah, that was that would have caused my dad to use a bit of bad language if that was me when he was watching me.
I think Minji might be using some of her own.
Wow, that was really something, wasn't it? As we go back down the tee on 4. By the looks, Charlie just she's got a little rescue, little hybrid in her hand, just to keep it short of that bunker. 228 to get to that bunker. And a little bit of a distraction here. There will be a reasonable amount of noise around these players today. Just there will be so many people here today. We had 33,000 on the Sunday last year. And didn't we notice a lot when we drove in today?
There was a traffic jam on the main road leading in here for people to go into the car park, and I don't think in all the years I've been coming here I've seen that. That's a bad mistake for Charlie to miss this. I mean, it's a very wide fairway with a hybrid, and I think that little distraction kind of threw her off her routine just a little bit.
I dare say the players would have looked at the order of play and their likely playing companions at the end of the day yesterday, and with all due respect to the Korean players, all 3 of these players would have been happy that Inji and Sunghyun probably weren't in their group for the reasons that we're talking about, and the obsessive nature the fans have got with their Korean players. Danielle earning the plaudits of the crowd.
The flip side to that is that they are the final group, and you can almost feel like an afterthought. And there's always a little bit of ego that comes into play with players at the top level, and that might feel a bit awkward.
Lydia Ko, birdie putt. She needs it. She dropped one on the previous hole, the par 3. Gonna make it there. You just don't want to be going backwards in these early stages, because she's really going to put herself out of contention fairly quickly unless she can pick up some birdies.
It's a bit contagious there because Lydia's knocked that 5 feet past as well, so both she and Minji fooled or have hit the wrong strength of putt, probably a combination of both. Second shot at the par 5, 5th for the world number 1.
Flag is front right today, just over a false flank, very accessible. And I think that's an easier spot to leave it than going past that flag and having to negotiate all the different tiers. She's already chipped in once this week. That's not a bad spot to have another go.
Just the 1 birdie for Sunghyun Park so far, and that came at the 3rd. I wonder what Inji has learned about what she's seen of the putting so far.
That this one's quick.
That was almost guaranteed that was going to be short after what she saw.
After watching her playing partners, goodness gracious. Russia Blador just ridiculously aggressive.
She said she learned so much from the experience of last week at the UL International Crown. We're representing her country. She was so nervous, but she learned to control it, and that is going to stand her in good stead today. She looks relaxed.
Well, and I think a lot of players that have that kind of experience where you're standing on the greens and your hands are shaking and you're still able to make putts, that can really grow a player in understanding where they stand within the game and how good they really are.
I think Jin Young Ko's hands must be shaking. What about that for a scorecard? 4 birdies so far, and she is 4 under par through 7 holes. She'd need a miracle, but what a great round she's got going.
Well, there's a lot to play for today. You can certainly work your way up that money list. Minji, well, very poor first putt from Minji, putting it that far past, and it wasn't that long a putt. So that will be disappointing, and Minji now has gone birdie, bogey, par, bogey. Mixed bag, to say the least.
I'm a great believer in body language. What about the contrasting body language from Minji there after that putt compared to Inji and what she was able to do?
Well, Minji has, I mean, it's been such a tough struggle for her. Ball striking really hasn't been top-notch. She's been fighting for pars, whereas Inji has been slowly getting better as the week's gone on.
Awkward length for par for the former world number 1. Little side door, but good enough. just having her name on the leaderboard is going to have a few, no matter how highly credentialed they are, looking over their shoulders. Speaking of shoulders, Lydia just having a little feel.
Oh.
Oh, we've got some visitors today.
Poor little fella. There's so many people out in this golf course today, nowhere to go.
He's racing to get a glimpse of Sunken Park's Eagle Chip.
Let's hope the pace of play is that quick today.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But maybe not. Eri Jatanagarn on this short fourth hole. She's laid up just beautifully in the centre of the fairway. Pin is on that back tier, 33 paces on. Now, these were the shots she has played so well and put so many of them so close. Oh, didn't get any check on that one.
Just a little downslope there that seems like everybody, which is why the putts have been releasing that shot released. Really difficult shot for Charlie, just a long range bunker shot, and this green does tend to run away, so and I think that's what she was expecting it to do.
Yeah.
And we've seen how quick this putt is now, so she might struggle to make par.
The other two were hoping for some check and didn't get it. She was hoping for some run and didn't get it.
Well, as you said, she really made a bit of a mess off the tee, just going with the hybrid and missing this fairway into thick rough. It's just not the Korean girls who have support here. And Aria said how thrilled she was to see that out there. She didn't expect it. So, very enthusiastic golfing nation, Korea.
As we look at Aria now, you know, I've noticed, particularly this week, there is that intensity shift. I think it's due to the fact that she's realising, finally, just how good she is. And she's not content with just hitting average shots anymore. She went to work on her swing on the range afterwards. And yet, we think she was hitting the ball as good as anybody we saw yesterday. So she knows there's more in the tank. This club's solid for her most weeks.
And it's not overstating things to say that she could be gapping the field if her putter had been working so far. But then again, there'd be plenty of other players out there who feel as though they'd left a few out there as well. So we are where we are. Let's see what happens. Here's Sandra Gale, who's had a really good week. She's got a birdie opportunity to get to within 3 of the lead. This at the par 5 fifth.
She's been showing signs this year of playing some good golf.
She's probably going to need to make an impression early. When you look at her stats for the week, she's made most of her score on the front 9. She's -6 for the front 9, just -2 for the back 9. And the finishing stretch of holes, she hasn't played that well, so it needs to happen early for Sandra.
Danielle Kang for birdie on the 4th hole. Now, the pace of this seems to be confusing. Most players we've seen come through here. Just seems that it's either running a lot quicker or they're just not getting it right. Let's see what Danielle does for birdie. It's a good try.
Jin Young Ko. This always hard 8th hole. Hole location kind of middle left today. And this is a birdie opportunity today for players. With that hole location right where it is, that's where a lot of players typically will end up from their tee shots. And I think in a way the LPGA have set this golf course up for holes to be attacked, to be taken advantage of, and for some tough ones too. And this is what we've seen throughout the course of this week. It can really catch up with you in a hurry if you don't pay attention to certain holes and certain locations, if you don't play them smart.
So then for an unlikely par, after making a bit of a mess of this fourth hole, Charlie Hull, if she doesn't hole it, Area has the lead by herself. And once she was errand off the tee, and especially after her second shot, par would have been the very best she could have hoped for. Charlie drops out of the lead then, an early moment of self-examination for the young woman from England, the 22-year-old.
And this is a bit of a contrast to how she's started off the last few days. She's always got off really quickly, made some great shots, and then sort of slowed down in the middle of her round. So this will be the challenge for her.
Chance for Sun Hyun Park to get it to -11 and just 2 behind Area Jatanagarn. We know how capable she is of making a lot of birdies. It is 2 under today through the first 5 holes.
We spoke yesterday about 8 and in particular second shot at 9 for her, and she talked about that after a round and said that was where it all really fell apart for her for a moment. So then this putt to remain the outright leader. Area Jatanagarn, a mile in front of everybody on the money list so far in 2018. She's not a mile in front here, but she is in front. And we'll talk about the permutations that may happen about the world #1 ranking throughout the day, but there's a very good chance that Area can get it. If she wins, she has it.
Just cleaning up here for Danielle Kang.
Nice, Danielle.
She's in a tie with Charlie Hull and MG Chun, just 1 behind Area at the moment in these early stages.
Second shot on 5 for Minjee Lee. We've seen it's quite accessible to get to. Really, bunkers are not a problem around the green. And that was a conservative shot, relying on her short game.
Well, let's see what Jin Young Ko can do at the 8th from pretty long range. But she's on the birdie train, no question about that. Just for a moment she has to wait on the platform, but this has been a spectacular start from the defending champion. We've spoken a few times throughout the week about the demands that would be on her time being the defending champion. But if you can finish top 10 with everything else that's going on around you and the pressures of playing in front of your home crowd, then that's an admirable performance, and she's got herself up into that top 10 with that start.
LPGA.com, the official source for live scores, stats, and news. But it's more than that. It's player access you can't get anywhere else. Amy Rogers, LPGA.com, here with Area Jatanagarn, with Brooke Henderson. It's player stories you won't hear anywhere else.
I felt like I was in the zone.
It seemed so easy.
And it's special features you won't see anywhere else. Where else but LPGA.com.
Now, just a moment ago, at the 8th hole, Amy Olsen and the young Korean in Jong-un Lee playing in this group at 8. What a tee shot that was. And nothing more than a tap in for birdie, hopefully, despite the presence of the shadow. Jong-un Lee moving along nicely. That's back-to-back birdies for her. She's picked up 3 today. and has got it to -5, so she's in line for a good check.
It's difficult, 6th hole, causing the players fits with this tee shot. It's a dog leg to the right. Most players hit a draw, so that's what's the challenge. Sun Hyun just position with her 3-wood, and where this hole is located with her ball striking, she has a good opportunity.
Look at those crowds. In excess, way in excess of 30,000 people here last year on the final day, and I think we're heading in a similar direction today. And the weather's just perfect.
Stunning, isn't it? We had such a clear but cold, windy day on Thursday, and everybody's rucked up in big doona jackets, and since then the sun's been out. It's just been up in the high teens, beautiful blue skies, and the wind of course has dropped, so we've had 3 really good days for scoring, great days for the spectators to come out here and watch, and it has been really something. And I think today's the nicest day. It's just temperatures up another degree or 2, around about the 18 degrees today. Beautiful day, beautiful comfortable day for the players to be playing.
Plenty of the gallery will be with that group, because not only do they have Sung Hyun Park in that group, but Sun Woo Bae, the 24-year-old, who's developing a following. And she's performed well at this tournament before, finished in a tie for 7th here in 2016, did Sun Woo Bae. So Area with the lead by herself at the moment, but the challengers are assembling to make the challenge behind her. Korea, the United States, England, New Zealand, Australia, Germany. They don't come much more international than that on the leaderboard in the final round of the LPGA KEB Hana Championship. It's been a long wait.
Now back on the tee here at the 5th for Area Jatanagarn. Need about 235 to clear those bunkers. You can see she's just aiming directly over the top. This is just with the 3-wood. Hardly a breath of breeze out there.
They've been there for a good 3 or 4 minutes at least.
And that slight change in wind direction is what's given the players a little bit more to think about, and in previous days carrying those bunkers really wasn't a big deal for a lot of them, and I think that's why we're seeing a slight backup, players then having to lay up as opposed to going for the green.
I'm guessing there's probably a few that got caught up in those bunkers today as well. Danielle pulling out the driver.
Danielle made her birdie here on Thursday and Friday.
Anywhere up there is fine. Still plays a 3-shot there, but you know what I mean. That's on the right side. It's 230. Good. Correct. Takes time.
Area's made birdie at this hole the last 2 days. Charlie Hull has only made 1 birdie here so far this week, and that was on Thursday in those difficult conditions.
Good to see Danielle playing so well this week. She missed 6 cuts over the last 8 events.
5th hole, Danielle Kang has elected to take driver to try and clear those bunkers. Looming large in her sights. Area just got 3-wood over the top of them. And it was always going to be a stretch in light of what you saw with Area's shot. As Karen mentioned, slightly different wind direction here today, and it's having its effect.
This whole location on the 6th is on the right, at the quite at the back, but it's appealing because you can use the slope in the middle of the green and left of this flag to get it close, and that's going to stay on the high side. Great for distance though.
Yes, and the difference if that was sort of over another 3 yards where it would have caught that ridge running through, right down there near the flag.
And we've watched this swing so many times now. She loads nicely on her back, but it's the real strength and power comes from how quickly she clears her hips.
Back on the tee with Charlie Hull with the driver in hand. Looking to play it just a little more right than Danielle did. Again, just sneaks onto the fairway. But that's okay.
That red dot that we saw near Area's ball is 248 off the tee, so you can see the difference of wind direction and how it's impacting on the length the players are getting off the tee. Meantime, up ahead on the same hole, Lydia Ko playing her 4th shot here at the 5th.
This is probably one of the reasons why that group had quite a wait. Lydia was fluffing around a bit somewhere down there.
And she's given herself some hope of making an unlikely par after difficulties at 5. That would be a good save, a really good save.
Still one over the card for today for Lydia. Now, Inji Chun, different story for Inji. She's 2 under. She birdied 1 and 2. Played some really good golf. And taking into account, she took a double bogey on Thursday. Great shot too. Had a double bogey on Friday as well. Still at -12.
So many roars going up from different parts of the golf course. Minjee needing to get something going. It wasn't the start that she wanted. A chance to stop the bleeding a little bit. She does have the 1 birdie on her card. That was at the very first hole, but unfortunately there have been a couple of bogeys since then, and she just looks a little out of sorts reading her body language.
Jin Young Ko making a nice little move today. She's at -7, defending champion. And I think her performance is something to be proud of. It's not easy to come in and defend.
What a battle that was 12 months ago. That was something on the final day. Jin Young Ko, Sung Yun Park, Inji Chun.
It certainly was. It was very exciting, as we've become quite used to, Pete, with this event. It always seems to come down to the wire. This is Minjee's birdie putt on 5. Now this just to get it back to even for today. Get her back into double figures.
I know it's only early in the final round, but it might be an opportune time to tell you the playoff holes.
Okay, because we usually expect it.
Given the history of this place, where there have been a few playoffs, and we'll detail those for you a little bit later on, but it'll be 18, 18, 18. If they can't break the deadlock, they'll go to 17, then back to 18, and repeat if necessary.
And then it'll be dark.
Just a tap-in birdie for Ji Hyun Kim. So she's got 3 of those on her card today. Bogey came at the 6th, which has been amongst the hardest holes on the golf course. In fact, it's been overall the 2nd hardest hole for the totality of the week. Back to 5.
And we saw Lydia struggle with her putting coming down the stretch yesterday. She missed a number of putts from that sort of 6-foot range, and I think even she found it a little frustrating. Her stroke gets a little hitty at impact. If she can keep this smooth, she makes them.
It nearly looks like a bit of a shorter backswing that she's got going, Karen. It's just, you are used to seeing her just very, very smooth with her putting. That's something I'm sure she's working on.
Inji knew that on the back of her inward 9 of 31 yesterday that she'd given herself a real chance, but she also must have had in the back of her mind, well, if I'm going to get this done, I'm going to need to get a couple of birdies on the card early. Well, she did that all right. Birdie 1, birdie 2. This to join the lead at the 5th. Wasn't quite the company that we saw running across the green before, but still annoying.
Made an excursion from that insect hotel. Little bug.
Well, checkout time's 11 o'clock.
She didn't quite have the same routine second time round as she did first time.
Didn't seem to matter. 3 birdies in 5 holes. One of the local stars, Inji Chun, joins the lead.
And that was very bold too. Really nice, firm, aggressive putt. Confident putt.
She finished second here in 2014 and tied for second, third in 2017. That's an untidy bogey. Players hate walking off par 5s with a 6 on their card.
Just shows, Pete, too, how it turns around. I mean, they've gone through 5 holes. There's now 5 shots between Inji and Lydia Ko.
Shot playing uphill, but easy within reach, I think, for Charlie. Starting this out to the right, drawing it back to the hole. And not a bad leave.
Gives herself a very good chance of picking up the shot she dropped at the previous hole.
Danielle Kang just only got it over the bunkers. He's found the rough. Lie's obviously good enough where she's got rescue of some sort in her hands. Like it looked like a 3 wood. Surely it couldn't be that good. Second shot. That's well done. Again, just leaves in a good spot. The uphill little pitch.
Little lucky off the tee shot to end up with a chance to go for it.
Look at that relationship between those two. He's been keeping her calm. By her own admission, she can get really hot on the golf course, but he has been really good with her this week, Ollie. And it's working. Of the 3, position A for area. She's got about 185 front, 192 to the pin.
You can see that ball drawing from the word go. For length, but up and down required out of the bunker now.
And this will be downhill, little breaker, but one that, you know, you picture a little spot at the top of the hill as the hole and just let it trickle down. Little bit of work, and that one will be a left to righter, which nobody really likes.
Her playing companions, Sunwoo Bay, even par for the day. Sandra Gale, 1 under par for the day. A joint leader on the tee at 6. Not wanting to bite off too much. You can run out of fairway, or you can just plop it right in the middle.
She's only missed 5 fairways all week long so far. That's impressive.
Anybody who can walk away from 6 with a par. Par's a good score on this hole because a lot can go wrong, especially off the tee if you try and do too much with it and leave yourself a really awkward second. Minji, her tee shot. In there with the driver. It's going to pull up. The good thing is there, if it doesn't come in too hot, it is uphill you're hitting into. So it does tend to pull them up. You just don't want to get them running through the other side into long grass because the second shot becomes tough.
Let's jump ahead to 9, and one of the hot players on the golf course, Jin Young Ko. 30 feet, perhaps a little bit more for birdie. She's giving them all a chance of going in.
She looks very comfortable over her putts. The putter sits nicely in her hands, her arms hang softly.
I think she's one of those players, Stubbs. She looks comfortable full stop on the golf course.
Yes.
Bunker shot at the 5th 4 area. This is her 3rd shot on the par 5. It's going to have to work a little hard to put a birdie on the card, and she'll be really disappointed with that if she can't make birdie here because it was very, very reachable for her.
Area's best finish here has been, in recent years, a tie for 13th back in 2016. The best final round in that period has been a 69. That was in 2016. Might nearly need more than that today, although she's got a share of the lead at the moment, and she's already picked up a couple. By the end of the day, she may very well be able to displace Sung Hyun Park in the world #1 ranking, depending on where she finishes. If she does win, she'll take over the world #1 ranking, and then depending on positions, it will also depend on where Sung Hyun finishes to see whether that ranking changes. Soyeon Yu and Inbee Park at 3 and 4. Lexi's here this week.
We're going to move ahead now and pick up the action later on at the KEB Hana Bank Championship, part of the LPGA's Swing Through Asia on Golf Channel.
Still has a little bit of room to work with, although the pin's at the front. It's further towards the left-hand side. That gives you a good indication. A little ridge that she's got to come up and over. See the ball, it seems to be laying okay.
And she's aiming as well right at the flag to use the slope. I think that was a good gamble for her, paying off on the tee shot. She bailed out to the place where she had to miss it. If you go left of that flag, the up and down is a lot tougher. And in all fairness, I'm not sure she could have got much closer from the fairway than the pitch, so I think it was a good gamble for her.
Danielle Kang, 4 birdie, coming up shy out of the rough. Oh, got a bit of pace on this as well. Just that little nasty length, but she shouldn't have too much trouble with that. She knows she has to make birdies, though, at -11, 4 out of the lead. And more disappointingly, she's over par for the day. Such good rounds of 67, 69, 68. Today's will not match that.
I think it's been a bit of a sort of a culture shock for a lot of these players, and certainly for these players in this group, because they've been playing with massive galleries for the first 3 days, and today they have just a sprinkling of people watching because everybody's up ahead watching Inbee and Sung Hyun Park, quite rightly so too, as Area's birdie putt just slides by. And that's been the story of her last couple of days, really.
Just even par for the round so far. They better enjoy the quiet Stubbs, because by the time they get to 18 and everybody else is around up there, then they're in for a shock when they get there, because they've been keeping their own counsel in lots of ways throughout the day, but that's going to change when they arrive at that spectacular finishing hole.
It's a place I'll experience very shortly, Pete. Head down for the presentation, but Charlie Hull 4 birdie now. This to just close the gap to 1. Oh, it looked good halfway. Just died off with lack of pace. A birdie there would have been good, knowing that she's a real chance of making a birdie up the next hole.
Danielle, after a pretty handy first putt, four shots back. Something is going to have to happen, not only in her favour, but against the 3 who are in front of her on the leaderboard, in particular Inji Chun. And the same scenario applies to Area.
What happens on this 15th hole will be quite instrumental, I think, on what is going to be the end result.
Speaking of 15, Minjee Lee, knowing that she's probably got to get to the stage now where she's chipping in for eagle if she's going to win the trophy, and she gave it the good college try. Karen, I've liked the way Minjee's held it together today. You said she's been able to put the bad stuff behind her. She started well with that birdie, but then she went through a patch early on, which would have been easy to succumb to.
Well, and really what you see from Minjee is the exact opposite of what we've been seeing from Area and from Sunghyun Park. You know, Minjee, you know, it's accepting of the fact that she maybe doesn't quite have her best stuff, but she's trying to make the most of it. Whereas the other two are just fighting themselves and fighting their golf.
This to stretch the lead. She's got the look of a winner about her right now. Every time she's made a choice of club that might have raised some eyebrows, she's been justified.
After 2 tremendous shots on 16, Sunghyun Park with a chance to go to 11 under par, 12 under par, she's currently 11.
Nothing has dropped for her. She's had a lot of putts that have shaved the hole, and you just have those days where they just don't go. She's not really been in the greatest frame of mind around here today.
Danielle Kang at 15. Hope springs eternal, but she's in a position now where she's going to need the equivalent of a golfing miracle. But if she can get this in, who knows? But that is a big if. Lovely touch.
See just how quick that is from where Danielle was coming from. So she should be able to pick up her birdie here. That'll take her into 4th place on her own at -12 for the moment.
Nasa for a final birdie for a tremendous final round. And again, momentum. You know, that's a good final round for her after 2 very indifferent rounds in the middle. Did not hit the ball that well, but today hit it slightly better. And again, she can take that momentum into Shanghai next week.
Good start, good finish, as Karen said. Not so great in the middle, but still 8th position for Nasa Hataoka. So this needs to go in. And it's just not been her day. Looked like it might be with a birdie start. But it's been such a struggle. We rarely see Area struggle as much as she had today after that second hole.
Her mind's been racing today. You can see it. Everything's just overtaken her a little bit too much. She hasn't been able to stay in her little bubble, in her own little world, and stay with the process and play the shots that she knows she can play.
And speaking of players whose mind has overtaken them.
Very much so, isn't it? Sun Hyun Park. Just so much talent, but seems to be fighting herself more than anything else, especially during this final round. The par 3, 17th, playing 157 yards today. Pretty accessible pin, 15 on and 3 from the right-hand side. Gives them a little bit of movement.
Area rolls in a birdie putt, so that does get her to -12. Too little, too late.
As you expect to see a lot more birdies on that card.
She can only control her own destiny, Charlie Hull. She can't do anything about what Ingie is doing, and if Ingie's going to hold the trophy up at the end of the day, that's due to her good play. So Charlie needs to worry about herself, and this is the first step in that. All right, she's done what she's got to do. 14 under, 2 back.
Still made 5 birdies today, which is very good, but 3 bogeys on the card have not helped her at all.
On the 16th hole, Minjee from pretty perfect position on the fairway. Little high draw into this left hole location. There's not much room over that bunker. She was just pushing that line. A yard to the right. She could have been pretty close.
Just a short putt for Danielle Kang for her birdie on 15 after coming from the back when she hit driver here and was pretty hot, had a lot on it. So this was a pretty good result coming down the hill, but she just needs to finish this off. Take it to -12.
Lots of Rolex World Ranking points up for grabs, lots of cash up for grabs in the run down the stretch, even if the victory is out of her grasp. Now from the left rough at 16, what can Ingie come up with? Anything on the green from there was a pretty good result, but it's still a long, long way from the objective. That is 3-putt territory.
She's not had a 3-putt yet this week.
Gets out of that rough safely, gets it onto the green, like just a little bit more on it just to run it maybe up to pin high. See how far back she is there. That first quarter of the green, pin, very long green, this 16th.
So her lead has been reduced to 2 by Charlie Hull's birdie at the 15th hole. This one not in the book just yet in the final round.
Sunhyun Park, 17th, playing 148 yards today. And with a 9-iron, I think this is a good club for her. I like the fact that she didn't fall back on that shot.
The look on the faces of player and caddy tells the tale. Tough day at the office. She marks herself really highly. Only a win was going to satisfy her today, and she's going to come up short in that regard.
Not a lot of room for Minjee. Get over the rough, and it does not. She just needed to get this on the fringe or just on the very edge and let it run out, but got caught up in that thick rough, so it'll be a little bit of a struggle here for Minjee to make a par. She'll have to chip that one in. Just sitting one ahead of both Danielle Kang and Area Jutanagan.
One of those days for the former world #1. She is at those. She continues to prove it time and time again. Area Jutanagan on the tee at 16, 4 shots adrift.
Again, knowing she's gone down the left-hand side, but not being able to see where it finishes, and also the awkward side to come into this back left pin.
Look at the difference in the gallery there at 16. That's the point you were making before, Stubbs.
Well, and really, when they teed off, it almost felt like this final group was a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah. Which could have been a good thing for them. Could have gone the other way. It certainly doesn't seem to have affected Charlie. She's 2 under for the day. Her demeanour, the way she's conducted herself, and her golf has been so admirable this week. Hold it again.
She likes that spot. It was yesterday, wasn't it? She was in there.
Been popular, that drain. Now this is huge.
Incredibly important putt. Long range, needs 2 putts from here for our leader, Inji Chun. Spectacular. That is very, very good.
That's brilliant. Oh, to give that a chance of going in from there. That has just brought the heart rate down about 10 beats per minute. Every single time, and there haven't been too many times today where the question has been proposed, she's had the answer.
Ideally, Danielle would like to get this down the right side of the fairway.
Swing deep.
Not bad. The further right you go, the better the chances are that you can get to that left flag. I think both Area and Charlie are going to have issues from the left side.
4th shot for Minjee Lee after getting tangled up here coming out of the bunker. Oh, this hole may prove very, very costly for Minjee. She's alone in 3rd place at the moment, but she's got a putt for bogey, but from a range.
And after coming up short. Sun Hyun Park is trying to chip in for a birdie on the 17th hole.
There might be tens of thousands of people on this golf course at the moment, but I bet she feels lonely out there right now. To Minji. And this to drop just the one shot at 16, which would move her back into a three-way tie for third. Now it's a double bogey. So Danielle Kang and Eri Jutanagan leap over the top of the Australian. And she finds herself back with Sung Hyun Park and Jin Young Ko, who's long been in the clubhouse.
It's a heartbreaking game, this, really. You know, her second shot in a couple of feet, yard further to the right, and she's up next to the flag, and instead she's walked off with double bogey. But that is the game of golf. Can be brutal.
And I guess the chances were, Sandy, that it was going to happen at some stage, because Minji had the attitude that I've got to be aggressive if I'm going to challenge here. And if you're going to be playing aggressive golf, those sort of things can happen to you.
Especially around a golf course like this. The other end of the scale coming out of the same bunker. Lydia has this putt for her par. It's well done.
+2 for the day. Not the day she was after. Might have given herself a little chance of victory at the start of the day. Going out in the second last group. And here's the last group on the golf course. We can safely say now that we're down to 2, and here's one of them.
Oh, it's first from here.
So you get nearest point of relief, not nearer the hole, and then one club length from that point.
Okay, so 6 would be aggressive. Okay, because I'd it's time.
Charlie's working out where to put her ball. A lot of conversation between Ollie and Danielle.
If we go past it, it's going to keep running. That's what I'm saying. 6 is going to keep running. Like if we hit it on a right line, that white ball with 6, it just goes long. You know what I mean?
No, I would hit a 7.
Yeah.
But it's still.
Yeah, exactly. I like 7 and just go a little more left. I mean, 7's going to cover
everything.
You can cover everything, the bunkers, everything.
As they do their sums, the leader arrives at the second last hole with many thousands of her countrymen and women watching her every move. Probably quite a few of them who were there to watch Sung Hyun Park, now staying where they are to watch the champion in waiting. And inevitably, at this part of the golf course, that's going to happen, because that path behind them is just a few feet wide.
more breeze popping up in those trees, and we seem to have had most of today. It's been a beautiful day for golf.
She just has to get it on the green now. Play commercial golf a little bit. You talked about, Karen, the need to keep on playing aggressively. Is she now, with 2 holes to play,
Yep.
she goes back into preservation mode?
Absolutely. There was no need to really take on that flag. With missing right, the up and down would be tough.
They seem to have decided on a 7-iron here for Danielle Kang into 16. Ooh, okay, that is the bunker that Minjee Lee was in.
Sandy, I think it might nearly be time to let you head down to the presentation area because of those thousands of people that are around where we are. And as we always say this time every year, good luck.
Thank you very much, Pete. It might take me a while. I'll be talking to you.
Second shot for area at the 16th.
Oh.
And a beauty. Hang on.
That's tremendous. To attack that flag on that line just shows how powerful she is.
Charlie's taken the drop away from the drain, so she's not aware of what's going on in front of her. It's going to take something special from her and something of a faltering nature from Minjee.
And it just looked like where she dropped it in that first cut, it was kind of sitting down just a bit, and that's where everybody walks off the green. Awkward little pitch for Charlie. She's been a little heavy-handed all day with those little shots, but there was nothing easy really about that because of the way the grass was growing into her. She had to give it a bit more of a hit.
We return to 18 and Brooke Henderson. Her birdie putt to finish. She made a magnificent charge yesterday. Hasn't quite eventuated along the same lines today. And that was for a 70. The Canadian then finishing tied 14th at 6 under.
A wonderful shot in here. Area again. The putts just leaving her wanting.
It's been the story of her week. We marvelled at her iron play for most of the week, but then even that today has let her down. She looked as though she's had a lot on her mind at various stages today. We're in contention for a big golf tournament. I guess that comes with the territory.
Well, she's been there and done it many times, and I think she felt like she just didn't have it. She was talking about working on some swings on the range, and that's unusual for her to say.
.45 feet for Minjee Lee for a 2. Look at this. Oh. That would have been worth a few bucks.
My biggest thing is when you're standing on that first tee of the final round of a tournament, you've got to know that your game's good enough to win. You've got to feel it in your heart. Otherwise, you stand on the golf course and you hope that you manage to find something. And that's no way to play golf.
Charlie Hull's chances of snatching victory at the last moment largely depend on this putt. She's been standing tall all week, the 22-year-old from England. This has to go in, though, and she's just got to hope that Ingy does something disastrous at the final hole. So now there's almost room to enjoy the walk. Ingy may or may not be aware of that when she stands on the 18th tee in a moment. You'd almost guarantee that she'll have a two-putt from where she is. Charlie drops back to 13 under, but she's still got outright second place as we sit right now.
I don't see two putts being too much of an issue here for Ingy. She's maintained the same routine, that same little relaxing breath before she walks into the ball.
She's doing everything she has to do.
Little sip of water just to let everybody's mouth gets a bit dry.
You can understand why, because maybe she's just starting to think a little bit about what's around the corner, what's going to happen to her in the next hour. Par-saving putt for Danielle Kang after putting her second shot in the trap beside the green here at 16. Went through that really tough patch at 6 and 7 and let a bit of steam out, but she's still going to have a great finish. This putt then effectively to send her to the 72nd hole with a 3-shot cushion.
Glory's last shot now for Sanghyun Park. Second shot. She can get there, looking to give the crowd something to really cheer about.
Two to play for area. 133 front, hole location, 15 paces on, and just 3 from that right-hand side. All the putts important from here on in. Second place is still a possibility for area. When you consider the day she's had, Karen, that's a testament to her ability, that she's had a day that she'd rather forget, and she might still finish second.
Well, I think we're all left feeling quite disappointed, really, because the potential is so huge with her, and we just always expect great things when we see her playing golf, and really the ball striking left her. You know, she struggled with that today, and then the putting was also a bit of an issue.
Danielle Kang might say the same about her putter as well. She's been frustrated at times by having the right line and leaving it short.
Yeah, she didn't hit that well. You could see she's like, yep, bad shot.
So here comes the lava down the hill. This is where you want to be when you play golf at any course around the world. But if you can do this in front of your home nation, then that makes it all the more special. She's got a 3-shot cushion. This only has to hit the short grass, and she can start thinking about what she might be saying in about 30 to 40 minutes' time.
Not until that putt goes down. We've seen it with Brooke Henderson this year in Canada, winning in front of her home crowd. We saw it with Georgia Hall winning the Rico Women's British Open.
It's just so much more special for them. A 2-week period of her life that she is never going to forget for as long as she lives.
She's got to get all of this one to get it there.
You're qualified to talk about winning a big title in front of the people that you're representing effectively.
I've very fortunately had a nice lead, so the walk up the 18th was rather special. Watching everybody with the flags, cheering, it was very special indeed.
Did you smile or did you tear up a bit?
I was crying all the way up the 18th.
I wouldn't blame you. Third shot for Sung Hyun. Final hole. She's got used to that massive roar following her all the way around the golf course this week and on this day in particular, but it hasn't been as much as she would have liked.
Trying to negotiate the drive on the 18th, Minji, and she puts it on the fairway. Maybe not in go range, though. A very soft bounce.
We should pay tribute to the golf course staff here at Sky 72. Because of the variations they get in the weather in this part of the world, in particular at this time of the year, the typhoon came through last week. Golf course is always produced in wonderful condition. And it's going to acclaim a Korean champion for the second year in a row by the look of things. From a Korean player to a German player, Sandra Gahl to finish with a birdie at the final hole. Not the day she was after, but a nice way to finish. Unfortunately, a 75 on Sunday for Sandra, and that's dropped her down a few places, but she finishes in a tie for 19th.
Daniel Kang, after a bit of a heavy tee shot, trying to get up and down to save her par. I think all these players that have been in contention, you know, Danielle, Eria, Sun Hyun, over the course of this Asia swing, I think we'll see these players contend. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see one of them go ahead and win, if not two.
The Asian swing continues next week in Shanghai, then it's off to Taipei, then Osaka in Japan, and then Hainan Island off to Chinese mainland. Charlie will have to be content with a par. So in her heart of hearts, she probably knows if there's a leaderboard around to be viewed that she's now trying to sew up and lock down second place.
Bay had a fairly quiet day today, but again, she can hold her head up high. It's not easy to play well and win tournaments back-to-back weeks.
I think there'd be a good chance she'll sleep well tonight after what's happened in the last 10 days of her life. -10, tied for 8th. The Thai fans have been here to add to the thousands of Korean fans, just fans of the game, really. That's what they are here.
And a little more work there than Area would like. It's like, it just has been hard work for her today. And on the 17th hole, you're like, I just want an easy time of it. And she's made more work for herself.
There's been no easy time of it for this 25-year-old. With the gaze of the nation upon her, it looks as though it's weighed heavily on her at times. To finish with a birdie. Listen to that acclamation. She must be feeling as though it has been such a disappointing day. The only thing that would have satisfied her was a win, and yet she shot 69. At the moment she's tied third, but that won't be making her feel too much better right now. Area makes par. 1 hole to play, and she is in now. That tie for third place with Sungkyun Park. Need to check the figures, Karen, but I think probably that would mean that Sungkyun will keep the #1 ranking over Area. It'll be a close thing.
She addressed that in the media about trying to maintain her world #1 spot, and she said, honestly, winning is more important.
I think it's a good attitude to have, because one looks after the other, really.
It does. Interesting time in women's golf. I mean, we've had moments where there have been such dominant players. You know, when you think back to Annika Sorenstam, Lorena Ochoa, Yani Sang, Lydia Ko for a time there too, Inbee Park. And really, at this moment, there isn't one player that really stands out as a dominant player. The tour is just so deep.
This young woman has stood out this week, though. Just about where she would want to have her third shot in. Well, that's evidence, Karen, by the fact, isn't it, that the first 13 events on tour this year were won by 13 different players. One last chance to give it everything you've got.
And I don't blame her, really. It's just been a battle for her all day.
Can't help but think back to that tee shot at 7.
Yep.
And how important that was in the scheme of her day. Great setting. Seen a share of drama over the years, but it looks like in 2018 it's going to anoint a champion that is going to be comfortable. And that's a good word for it, because that's the way she's looked nearly all day and pretty much all week, apart from those 2 moments where she made a double bogey at the 10th one day and double bogey at the 11th the other day, but that's just a distant memory now. The crowd's ready to anoint the champion. Third shot, final hole.
There's a big scoreboard to her left. Her caddy, Colin, will know. She will know.
Left. And you know better than most, Karen, that you can find yourself dead there. She might be all right, but you can be absolutely stone dead in there.
She's making a face like, I don't know, did I hit someone?
looking to sew up second place. Charlie Hull, what a week. Starts that down the right-hand side of the fairway.
If she holds out from there, it's a long shot, I know.
그래서 하나 금융그룹 골프단 소속으로 2018 LPGA 볼빅 챔피언십에서 우승을 차지하며 LPGA 투어 통산 4승에 빛나는 이민지 선수입니다. 역시 큰 박수를 부탁드리겠습니다. 이어서 마지막 선수 2013년 LPGA 데뷔 LPGA 롤렉스 랭킹 17위로 LPGA 메이저 대회 2승 통산 15승 국내 많은 팬을 보유한 리디아고 선수입니다. 여러분 세 선수에게 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
A Korean connection to all three players in this group. Lydia and Minji both very proud to come back to this part of the world and play in front of the nation where they have so many family ties. And for Inji, well, you can only just imagine what a proud moment this is for her.
When you're in Inji's shoes, you're standing on the green, you're trying to fight, thinking ahead to potentially winning. You're trying to keep your mind on the job at hand, which is the putt. Yet it's so hard because you know what this means in front of your fans, your family, your friends.
Lydia's hopes would have been high at the start of the day, but it just hasn't materialised on this final day.
It's amazing what a difference a day makes. Yesterday she was cruising around, hitting quality shots, and not quite the same today. If this putt goes in for Inji, Peter, this seals the deal.
And she's got a few up her sleeve, but the way she's performed today, it would be fitting if it did go in. Because it would give her nation the chance to acclaim her. They're going to do that anyway, but let's hope she caps off this great day in her life in the best fashion possible. Hopefully she'll mark it as tradition dictates. It doesn't matter. She's going to be acclaimed as the champion. And what a performance it is. 2 weeks in the life of Inji Chun that she will never forget. The UL International Crown, and then the biggest tournament that women's golf has to offer in this part of the world. So close to the spectacular finish we were after, and even the body language couldn't get that one in the hole. But it doesn't matter. For a birdie at the last. Minji Lee rolls it in. So that will take her up to 12 under. And she will be in a tie for third place as it sits right now with Sungkyun Park and Eri Jutanagan. A hug from Jason Gilroy to caddy.
I think that was a really hard-fought tournament for Minji. Mentally, she did well to get through that, because physically not her A game this week.
And not the A game of Lydia Ko. But the signs were there over the first 3 days that maybe we might be on the verge of seeing the old Lydia again. A warm hug for a good friend. She's played a lot of golf with Minji, and of course, congratulations to the champion. Karen, I keep on thinking back to 2014, which was the first year that I was lucky enough to come here and do the tournament, and everybody had told us about Inji Chun, this young player coming up through the ranks, and after seeing her, she was up in the top 3 that year. In fact, she finished tied 2nd that year, and you probably did the same thing. I went back home and said, just wait for this young player to come up through the ranks, because she will.
And I remember being in the Golf Channel studio covering the US Open at Lancaster Country Club, where she went on to win, and going into that final round I said, you can't rule out Inji Chun. She's ranked, whatever she was, at 10th in the world at the time, and she is a force to be reckoned with.
Last 3 players on the golf course, 2 of them in the trap beside the 18th green. Danielle Kang first to play, still one of the more difficult shots in golf, the long bunker shot. If she can get up and down from here, she moves to 12 under and may get herself up into a tie for 3rd. Brilliantly played.
Yes, it is.
Boy, that's a good shot.
Nobody told her that those long bunker shots are difficult.
Superbly executed by Danielle at the end of what's been a day that promised a lot, and it tested her patience at times, but nice to see that smile at the end of the day. So Charlie just needs something like that.
Well, she knows what she needs to do. She knows where she needs to land it. Just a matter of execution.
And if she can make birdie, she'll certainly finish 2nd. Then again, Area could hold this, and that would take her to 14 under.
Here, please. Thank you.
Not easy. It is downhill. She's going to have to land this just on the edge of the green. Good effort.
So Charlie will have a putt for 2nd.
Nice shot, Daniel.
The camaraderie and the fellowship between these players has been really good throughout the day, throughout the week, when you consider the high stakes that are there. They know each other so well. Local media, Kristen Yoon from the LPGA.
I'm really happy what they said, but I had a lot
We'll
of
find out
pressure from there.
from the champion firsthand with the presentation with Sandy McKenzie down there beside 18 in a moment. They take the opportunity of getting an early word, and then we can make it official once the last putt's been holed.
Ninja, congratulations and great job. Thank you.
No wonder. No wonder.
Under. You did amazing. 진짜 열심히 하고. 되게 보내요. 감사합니다. So
In the world of golf, where you see the Korean players play with such poise on the golf course, they do feel it exactly the same way as everybody else.
Just takes them a little while to show it, and then when it shows, well, that was just a lovely moment. This for second. So Charlie's going to make par at the last, which means she will be minus 13, and Aria's got a putt to join her at minus 13. Did you have a moment there, Karen? You said you were in tears when you won that British Open, but did you have a moment where the enormity of what you'd done just hit you, and then all of a sudden it overwhelmed you?
Absolutely, because you remember about all the sacrifices that everybody around you has made for you to be in that position. It's not about what you've done, it's about what everybody else has done for you to be there. Your mother, your father, sisters.
Competing with yours, but I guess for the because they're supporting the LPGA Tour.
All right, so just a few instructions from Kristen there to Ingie when the presentation officially happens, and we'll hear that all happening very shortly. So she's let the tears out, which is probably good, because hopefully it'll only be the first of 15 times that it happens for the rest of the day. So here's an important putt. Area for birdie at the final hole, and to move into a tie for second with Charlie Hull. And that sums up her week. So Area will finish tied third with Minjee Lee and Sung Hyun Park, and quite possibly Danielle Kang, if she can hold this. So this for birdie at the final hole, and this to make it a four-way tie for third. Display at times. 72 was always going to see her fall short in the final round on a day where birdies was what it took. But a hug from Ollie. There'd been a good combination throughout the week, and now Charlie ends it in 2018 by tapping in and making her par for a round of 71. And the Englishwoman finishes in second place, and she can walk away, Karen Stupples, with her head held high.
She can, and she can really build on what she did this week, the way she handled herself going around the golf course, the way she didn't hurry the process of choosing what club to play. The way she holed out was impressive too, and that was something that she said that she wanted to do.
Something Ingie nearly did in front of her adoring home fans. Look how close this one was at the last. In the scheme of things, it didn't matter, but it just would have been a nice way to finish. What a popular figure she is in this part of the world. Congratulatory hug from Lydia. And then the emotion of the moment just got too much for her.
Amazing.
So at the end of what has been a fascinating week, we have a worthy champion. Ingie Chun fires 66 on Saturday, 66 on Sunday, and wins by 3 in Korea. Charlie Hull of England outright second, a four-way tie for third. Korea Australia, Thailand and the United States. Sung Hyun Park, a disappointing day for her, even though she does finish in the tie for third. Minji Lee, Area Jutanagan and Danielle Kang. The defending champion did it really well on Sunday. Jin Young Ko, a 64, elevating her to 7th place. And Nasa Hataoka, the 19-year-old from Japan, with a closing 67, gets herself up into a tie for 8th with Sun Woo Bae, the young talent from Korea, who shot a 71 in the final round, and that moved her up into that tie with Nasa Hataoka. We've seen many great shots on this final day. This was, as Karen said, as important as any that we saw when she took the club out to chip it. And that shot may have sent her on the road to victory.
Interestingly enough, her coach, Wan Park, was telling me that it's something that they wanted to do, was to chip it, because when she putts from off the green, the ball just pops up a little bit more.
So as we take a look at the leaderboard and confirm the margin of victory is 3 for Inji Chun. Again, Karen, we say thank you to everybody here in Korea, Brenda Lee in particular from ING and all the team from JTBC for making us feel so welcome. We might not be back at this golf course next year, but gee, it's been a blast.
It has. We've loved every second of it.
So I hope you've enjoyed it as we look through our leaderboard at the end of what has been a sensational day. Peter Donegan on behalf of Sandy McKenzie and Karen Stupples saying thank you for joining us from the Sky 72 Ocean Course at Incheon in Korea. And well done to Inji Chun, the champion in the LPGA KEB Hana Bank Championship of 2018. We'll see you next week as the caravan rolls on to Shanghai.